Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel, to my live reaction and player rate this live stream after Chelsea finally winning a game of football again. 5 games without one. We're back. Chelsea 3, Wolves 1. And I'm buzzing. The defenders came to the rescue. Cucurella scoring, Tosin scoring, Chalobah getting robbed of a goal by Madueke, but still getting an assist. Reece James, unofficially, whatever the word is, also kind of getting an assist. And to be honest, defending well. If it wasn't for that absolute bozo in goal called Robert Sanchez, probably a clean sheet today because we played well, we defended well, we had a good game. But our attacking woes still continue because the attackers, I know Madueke scored, but from Madueke to Neto to Palmer to Jackson, obviously, it weren't working. It weren't working, but hey, at the end of the day, we got the dub. It wasn't the prettiest, but we got the dub, and I'm extremely, extremely happy about it. But do we have a midfield crisis? For a second in the first half, we all thought Cucurella's season was done. It looked like he really badly hurt his knee, was rolling on the floor, screaming from pain. And then when we saw the replay, it looked like his knee got really crunched, and that's usually a really bad sign for the meniscus, for the ACL. Ooh, I was scared. I was terrified. But thankfully, he was okay. Continued playing on, although, Enzo, Colwell, Palmer, they all played on last week, and now they missed this game because they're now injured. Enzo Fernandez supposedly for a few weeks, according to Enzo Maresca. Let's see if that means 2 or 3 or more like 4 to 6. Who knows? Colwell should at least hopefully be back fairly soon. But bloody hell, let's just take a minute to show some appreciation to Mr. Trevor Chalobah. What a player! What a man! What a performance! Proper flipping Chelsea. What a performance. I mean, in the first 10 minutes of the game, Trevor Chalobah did more than Axel Disasi and Benoit Badiashile have in their entire time at Chelsea. First, he does an outside of the boot pass perfectly into the run of Pedro Neto. Perfectly. Neto screws it up. But anyway, incredible pass by Trevor Chalobah. 2 minutes later, he pulls off an absolute wonder tackle where I'm like, excuse me. It's just mental. And the thing that I'm thinking is, if you're an owner of this football club, as much as they get involved and sometimes maybe get a bit too involved, you have to give them the little bit of credit that I'm like, well, they're Americans. They're maybe not that well-educated on football, although I'm sure it's getting better and better the longer they're here. They hired people to do the footballing jobs. They hired sport directors, people with fairly large credentials and a fairly long CV of work in football. But when you see this, when you see Trevor Chalobah play, and then because Egbali is there most games, right? They watch all the games, and you see Trevor Chalobah play like this, and you're like, so you were telling me for 4 transfer windows in a row, we need to sell Trevor Chalobah, and we need to sign Axel Disasi, and we need to sign Benoit Badiashile, and we need to sign Tosin. And to be fair, Tosin was fantastic today as well, to be fair to him. And then you see Trevor Chalobah, we force him out. He comes back, and he plays like this. My God, and Ricky is so right. Sad part is, the better he plays, the more money signs these owners will see because of pure profit. You're not wrong, Ricky. You're really, really not wrong. But don't kill my vibe today. I'm gonna remain with my optimism and my love and my positivity about Trevor Chalobah. Big up, Trev. I love you. We love you. JP says, whoever thought Robert Sanchez was a good idea as a number 1 goalkeeper needs to be fired. The bloody lot of them need to be fired. Fantasy PGA Tour says, we look so much better with Trev in the defense. Yes, we kind of do. I mean, it's difficult to compare one game to the next, right? We need to see a few more games with Chalobah to see if this is a Chalobah thing or if we just had a better game defensively, if that makes sense. But I hear you. Kevin says, yeah, Jackson's not good enough. He didn't have a good game. Let's be honest. It's true. Glad Trev got man of the match after missing out on the goal. 100%. We need a new striker, please. We do. But please don't bring me Dusan Vlahovic. Just after the game finished, Pys tweeted a Times exclusive that Chelsea are considering moving for Dusan Vlahovic from Juve. I've covered this plenty of times on this YouTube channel. I do not want Chelsea Football Club to sign Dusan Vlahovic. I do not support and want players at my club that glorify racial cleansing. And I'm not going to be on board with it. I don't care how good he is. I don't care if he's a good signing. I don't care if he's a bad player. That doesn't matter. I don't even look at, is he a good player or is he not? It doesn't matter. Purely from principle, I do not want Dusan Vlahovic at my football club. It may happen. If it does happen, I will not support him. I will not hate him, but I will not support him. I won't. So I'm not even going to talk anymore about that. I do not want the guy. It's as simple as that. Joel says, brilliant Caicedo, Trev, and Cucurella, Noni, Jackson, and Neto, Paul. Yeah, it's a weird one, Cucurella, because I thought Cucurella had a very average first half where he misplaced a lot of passes, very not like him. So, but then obviously second half he was brilliant. So absolutely. Cucurella doesn't see any minutes, yeah, because we're trying to sell him, but we're failing. Caicedo really is a monster. Oh yes, he was. Chalobah's goal, that was. I agree. What am I seeing? What am I seeing? People react. Technically, Tosin would be pure profit, right? Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know how that works. I would assume so, because obviously we signed him on the free, so therefore there's no fee to be amortized. Therefore, what you sell him for is essentially pure profit. I would assume so. It's a Chalobah thing. Same thing happened last season when we were losing left and right. Trev came in, and we were also in the last 20 games. Yeah, 10 games. Yeah. When will we talk about Palmer? Yeah, Palmer is a tough one. He didn't have a good game today. Let's be honest. But also, was he fit? Because obviously he was a doubt ahead of the game. The people that missed the game, regardless, were Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia, and Levi Colwill. I touched on it already. Enzo Fernandez supposedly out for a few weeks. Levi Colwill hopefully back, or maybe back for the next game, if not the one after that. For Lavia, we don't know. But Palmer didn't look like he played fully fit. I think we kind of slightly rushed him in, if I'm being totally honest. So I'm not going to be too harsh on him today. Looks like Neto is injured, is he? Brilliant. I'm not sure how you came to that conclusion. Please tell me. I haven't seen it. But honestly, I'm not too upset about it. I don't think him or Noni were any good. And I was a bit shocked why Sancho lost this place, because to me, he's been by far our best winger. So there you go. Lucas Lima says, Jackson and Sanchez need to be replaced ASAP. I disagree that Jackson needs to be replaced. Jackson needs to be given competition, but Jackson doesn't need to be replaced. Sanchez needs to be replaced. Palmer genuinely should have been subbed off for 60 minutes. I agree. And João Felix should have come on there. And at the very latest, the second we went 3-1 up, it should have happened. Not so much later. And also, why was it Disasi that came on and not Achimpong? Makes no sense. But maybe it does make a little bit of sense. Just see it out, get the experienced players on. We don't have many of those, so you get them on towards the end of games. John Obi Mikel, I know people forget that he wasn't always great nowadays with his podcast and everything, but John Obi Mikel was a very shit player at times, and we still brought him on to see out games every game. And you didn't bring on the 18-year-olds. I guess there's there, but you know what I mean. BK says, what's the point of buying João Felix to sell him in January? I really don't think we're going to sell him, mate. But, I mean, who knows? But I very much doubt it. And if we do, I could only see it as somehow a reaction to failing to sell Christopher Nkunku. That's my reaction anyway. Neto started because we were playing against the Wolves. Maybe, but then you could have started Neto on the right and still kept Sancho in the team. Jackson replaced, as in he should be second option. I mean, I don't even fully agree with that, but fair enough. Whilst you're in an agreeable mood, I thought Disasi did absolutely phenomenally. If I'm being honest, I didn't really notice that much of Disasi. Obviously, we're 3-1 up. It was quite the game was done, if I'm being honest. And I was setting up the stream, preparing the thumbnail. So if he did anything particularly special, I'll be honest, bro, I didn't see it, but he might have done. I'm not even saying he did bad. That's not even what I'm trying to say, but he was already, not used as a player in the last few games. And you used Achimpong. Now you finally had a position where you didn't need to put Achimpong into a high-pressure situation of starting in games that we needed to win. You could have brought him on at 3-1. He could have gained some more confidence and more experience. That's just what I would have done. At the end of the day, I'm happy we won, so it doesn't really matter. Brokas, yo, what's up, bro? Nice to finally win. Yes, mate. Thank you so much. Why are we crossing so much? I think it's purely depending on the game. I think it's just game-related because Fulham defend with a back 3/back 5. It's just easiest to get into crossing positions, and then you try to find the gaps between the three centre-backs, because when you have two centre-backs, they kind of crowd the middle, and there's not really the gaps as much. But when there's three centre-backs, there's a couple of gaps to pick, obviously between each centre-back, but then also behind each of the wide centre-backs at the far post. And with Cucurella, that's how we scored the goal. So, obviously, if we had a striker that was better in the air, if we had sometimes players that would also cross a bit better, because sure, sometimes the crosses were decent and Jackson or nobody else was there, but sometimes the crosses were also awful. Fire says, late subs again from Enzo. Could have made earlier better subs. I mean, I think now we're stretching it a little bit. He made a sub at 60 minutes. I would have preferred it at halftime and Sancho coming on, absolutely. But obviously, we're very limited in options in our midfield. You saw we made the subs, bringing Gusto on and Disasi on, and Gusto was at left back. Disasi was at right back. And Cucurella was playing out and out midfield, not even in terms of, inverting from fullback. No, he was just full on playing midfield. Elias says, Chalobah man of the match, in my opinion, 100%. You missed Disasi's bicycle goal, but it was disallowed 100%. 100%, bro. But let me get into these stats, because I'm fairly happy, and to be honest, I'm slightly surprised that when I saw the stats, we supposedly had an XG of 3.1 5, which obviously because the way we scored, and you could see it there, for example, Noni Madueke's goal is 0.97 xG because he literally headed in from 2 centimeters out and kind of just stole the goal from Chalobah. I'm really trying not to be a bit salty with Noni about this, by the way. I'm really trying because I don't think we should be annoyed about it, because I'm like, it's good to put it over the line. Rather be safe than sorry. He probably didn't have time to scan everywhere to see, is there a Wolves player that could keep flying in and somehow clear it? So you'd rather them be safe than sorry. But I didn't like his celebration. Like, you just tapped it home from 5 centimeters and then you're giving it a whole knee slide instead of like pointing at Chalobah. So I don't know. That was a bit strange for me. But there you go. He scored the goal. I'll take that. Do we bring back Santos? I very much doubt that. It seems like we're bringing back Caleb Wiley from Strasbourg after we've signed that other kid, Mamadou Sarr, that for 14-15 million pounds from Strasbourg, but loaning him back. Although other reports are saying it's a pre-agreement, so who knows? Byred says keeping Palmer on when Felix could have come on earlier. No, Palmer is carrying a slight injury. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm really not disagreeing. The Demonin says Caicedo going down was a sign we need to stop being negligent and recall our midfielders. I don't get it. I really, really don't get why Leslie Ugochukwu hasn't long been recalled. Now, Andre Santos, sure, you could make a case for him as well, but I genuinely think in our squad, we are actually more missing the Leslie Ugochukwu profile than we are the Andre Santos profile. But Andre Santos isn't going to be such a direct Caicedo or Lavia backup. Andre Santos would be more of an Enzo Fernandez backup or a Dewsbury Hall replacement, more so. So that's why I just think Leslie Ugochukwu would make more sense. Also, we got to think, we don't owe Southampton anything. They didn't play Ugochukwu for 3 months. But Strasbourg, we actually own. So, obviously, the better Strasbourg do, the more money they have, so they can spend their extra money, and we can, we don't want to harm our sister club. People will not agree with this, but there's maybe that thought as well. JP says, not holding any of that against Noni, to be honest. Goal is a goal. He didn't play a great game, though. Maresca signed for us a year ago, so he was celebrating 2 years ago, actually. But, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess. But still, give it at least a little point at Chalobah. Maybe he didn't realize who it was that headed the ball down, to be fair. It's quick to judge. It's easy to judge. But, yeah, I don't know. Like someone else said in the chat earlier, maybe I'm just I just really wanted a Trevor Chalobah goal. I also felt like the game, I don't know, I felt all game that might be a Chalobah goal coming. But there you go. Looking back at the stats, like I say, 3.15 XG. Obviously, very high XG on that goal. Was this the goal? Yes, very high XG on this goal. Was this the header? Yeah. So Chalobah's header would have gone in. That was very low XG, but obviously this one was high XG as well from Cucurella. So all our goals were very, very much high XG. Let me just find Tosin's goal. Is this one? Not as high XG as I thought, to be honest, but still in total very high. 19 shots, 7 of them on target, 4 big chances, scored 3 of them. Not sure which one was the big chance that we missed, if I'm honest. Someone remind me, please. Decent accurate passing, when it's 89%, you're touching on the 90, you're doing all right. A few too many times offside, in particular, Nicholas Jackson obviously scored one from an offside position, but was offside just a few too many times. He shot off target a few times, obviously had a lot of blocked shots, but there you go. In the grand scheme of things, I was fairly happy with that. We did split our passing nicely between opposition half and our own half, played some decent long balls with an acceptable accuracy. Not a great accuracy on the crosses, to be fair, but, better than Wolves. They had 17%, we had 23%. So you'll take it, I suppose. A lot of touches in the opposition box. It was a weird game because we didn't necessarily create so much in terms of clear-cut chances. We really didn't. But obviously, we still scored 3 goals. 2 of them were extremely high XG. That's why our total XG is quite high. But we did still have moments, and we still did dominate the game. And if it wasn't for Sanchez being an absolute idiot, then this probably is a bit more comfortable. But I got to say, as much as maybe there's parts that we weren't happy with and some of the players that I'm not going to praise particularly highly, what I really want to say is obviously that a lot of games recently, especially at the Bridge against Fulham, 1-0 up at halftime, then we lose the game. Obviously against Bournemouth, 1-0 up at halftime, then we go down 2-1 and still scrape the point at the end, but still drop points from a leading position. Today, we again were 1-0 up, but conceded before the break this time. And then we actually came out of halftime, out of the blocks. And I really enjoyed that. We were intense. We were going for it. We were attacking. We were driving at the opposition from the very beginning in the first half. So I was very happy with that. Kai, the Pie, Havertz. Hi, Chelsea fans. Just go away with that kind of name. I do think he should have pointed to Trev as well. Should have read the room. I think he was just determined to score today after aggregating a hat-trick against them last time. Yeah, that it's obviously the anniversary of 2 years of him signing for the club. I'm sure that played a part as well. You know, he didn't have the best of time recently, not scoring, a bit of criticism and stuff. So I get it. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, there you go. I still consider it his goal in a way. Same, as do I. Damn, time flies when you're bottom half. What? I get it. Yeah, it is 2 years ago. There you go. I mean, let's look at the lineup. Let me even see how FotMob shaped it up today. So this is their formation off the ball. It kind of was a formation off the ball, I suppose. The 4-2-3-1 off the ball. But if I change it to my lineup sheet or lineup screen, you can see this is kind of how we played on the ball, really. With a diamond in midfield, Cucurella as the left 8, Dewsbury Hall as the right 8, Palmer as the 10, Caicedo as the 6, 2 wingers wide. I guess I can push them a bit higher to be a bit more accurate. And then a back 3 of Trevor Chalobah as the left centre back, somewhat surprisingly. Tosin in the middle and Reece James on the right. But we have to start with Robert Sanchez. Oh my God. I'll be honest, guys. I'm slightly bored of the Robert Sanchez conversation. I really am slightly bored of it because I'm not surprised at this. Like, he makes a mistake every week. Sometimes the mistake costs us a goal. Sometimes it doesn't. For example, last week against Bournemouth, he passed the ball to them and gifted them a huge chance where they hit the post. Sure, they didn't score, but that was still what invited them into, you know, feeling more confident after we dominated them the entirety of the rest of the first half. And today they have a corner. He tries to catch it, drops it, and Doherty scores. Unfortunately, Rokas, he's not suspended. Same as Caicedo, who also picked up, I'm pretty sure, his 5th yellow card today. Same as Nicholas Jackson last week, who picked up his 5th yellow card. We've gotten past the cutoff date where you get suspended with 5 yellow cards. I never remember what the date is. It is usually a certain match day. Maybe it's match day 18. So from match day 19, halfway through. It would have to be match day 20 from after match day 19, halfway through. You don't get suspended for 5 yellow cards anymore. In other countries, they do so. In other countries, the 5 yellow cards is always a suspension all the way through the season. But in the Premier League, there comes the cutoff date, from which point onwards you only get suspended once you hit 10 yellow cards. And then there comes a point in April when after that you only get suspended if you had 15 yellow cards. So yeah, no, Sanchez unfortunately not suspended. But luckily, also Caicedo and Jackson wasn't either the other day. I do actually laugh about it at this stage. Once the anger dies down, 3. I mean, Kevin says he's so unserious. 3, 4, he is awful. Rating is really difficult. I'll get to his stats in a minute. But like I say, I'm a bit tired of complaining about it because Sanchez has made plenty of mistakes. Sure, this one cost us another goal here now. But Maresca won't drop him. Whether I think that's fair or not, I don't really know. Obviously, there was a point early in the season where we all called for Filip Jørgensen to play. And they still do in a sense. But Filip Jørgensen hasn't been called upon that many times. I know he's had a few good games in the Conference League, but think of the Carabao Cup away game at Newcastle. Jørgensen's first big game that he played for us, he was terrible. And then against Morecambe the other day as well. I know we kept a clean sheet, but he was shocking in that game. Now, does he make mistakes like Sanchez? No, maybe not. But he also doesn't play as often as Sanchez, right? So I'm really not that confident that Jørgensen would make so significantly less errors, if I'm being honest. But like Fantasy PGA Tour says, we need a goalkeeper. That's we just need to buy one because I don't think Jørgensen is going to be such a dramatic upgrade. Like he might be, but I mean, there's probably a reason why the manager hasn't chosen to swap them yet. Do you know what I mean? But Sanchez just makes too many mistakes. The thing is, I don't really trust our sporting directors that even if we do decide to sign a new one in the summer, whether he will be any good. He would probably be another Jørgensen who's like between 20 and 23. We will have basically never heard of him, or maybe a couple of times, but certainly never watched him. There's a couple of decent stats, but very inexperienced, which for goalkeepers obviously even a bigger issue than for other positions. That's kind of just like what I'm expecting to happen, if I'm honest. I mean, let's look at his stats. Let me make it the bigger screen again. Let's look at Robert Sanchez's stats before we finalize our rating, or I finalize my rating. 3 saves. One of them was pretty good, to be fair. But obviously, the one he caused is just an absolute howler. His passing was all right, I guess. Only 5 misplaced passes in the ground. Well, 6 in total, but 5 of long balls. I don't really know what rating to give him, guys. Because he made one huge error, which is just ridiculous that he keeps doing it. There was also another really bad pass that he passed straight to the opponent, but the defenders sorted it out for Sanchez. I think I'll give him a 3, you know. I think a 4 you get for a mistake that's a yeah. I just generally think it needs to be less than a 4. Maybe if this was his first mistake in a few months, I'd give him a 4 for the same performance. But it just keeps happening. It just keeps on happening. And you can feel it in the crowd as well. Every time we pass the ball back to him and he has to pass it out, especially when he has to pass it out over someone, it's always scary. Everybody's always scared. Everybody's tense. It probably doesn't help him either. But the reason it is like that is because for the last 2 seasons, every game that he plays, he makes at least one major error every single game. Like, I've never seen a goalkeeper like this. Like, a lot of people hate and criticize Kepa Arrizabalaga, right? And Kepa was bad at times. Don't get me wrong. Kepa was terrible at times. But fuck me. Like, Robert Sanchez is not even a comparison to Kepa. Now, Sanchez sometimes saves things that Kepa wouldn't save. Fair enough. But the consistency of making mistakes is a joke. Is a joke. Davey says, Chalobah, so glad to see him back. He is the next ready guy. I said ages ago. Last season, he partly saved us. Absolutely. I think he had good passes, but not good enough. Give Jurgensen a run of games, not one, but maybe 3 or 4 in a row. We have not seen him enough. That's fair enough. No, it's fair enough. And I would do that too. I would back that. All I'm saying is, if we did do that, I wouldn't be so sure that it would necessarily go so much better. But obviously, who knows? Joel says, hi, mate. Hello. Getting at last a win. Thank God. Stats often lie. They said he was good with his feet. Petrovic is better with his feet. Ooh, I'm not sure about that. I think that's stretching again. Now, Petrovic is less error prone. But that's because Petrovic knows himself and knows that he's not good at this. So he often doesn't even try. He just punts it long. And because we don't expect much from Petrovic, we're not that mad when he punts it out of play because he's a different type of goalkeeper. But like you say, we were told that Sanchez is good at this. We were told one of the reasons why he is playing is this, even though we all know Jurgensen is better with the ball at his feet, but Jurgensen is a worse shot stopper and other things, so it's a problem. I don't even care to rate him anymore, to be honest. Just ship him out. Yeah, that's me. It's funny, we still have the same problems, need a goalkeeper and a striker. And it sure as hell doesn't feel like we're solving either of those issues in January, does it? But we have a fair few issues, especially now with injuries. But if you move up the pitch and we get to Tosin Adarabioyo. And not only did he score 2 against Morecambe the other week, 2 important goals, one of them being an absolute worldie as well, he's back to scoring again. Unfortunately, slightly anticlimactic because the lino initially gave it as an offside. But to be fair, in this case, and I'm very often critical of referees and linos, no. I mean, I said my piece on Vlahovic earlier already. Absolutely not going to entertain that at all. It might happen, but I'm not going to entertain it. But yeah, Tosin turns up with another goal, a great goal. A shot from Reece James that gets blocked and kind of forced to Tosin. Controls it with his thigh, lets it bounce and slots it home. Really calm finish, really, really nice. Lino initially gave it offside, but you could see it from the first replay that he was on. Took VAR, to be honest, a surprising amount of time. But there you go. Did score, huge goal, put us 1-0 up. And in general, I thought played well, defended well, was calm, was collected, brought some leadership. I was happy with him. Completed the most passes in the game as well with 87 out of 91, 96% passing accuracy. I'm happy with that. Can't complain with that. Got 1 shot, scored that, had a successful dribble, 2 out of 5 long balls. Could be a bit better, to be fair. The duels, can't complain with that, but it shows you how little our defenders in the grand scheme of things had to do. It shows you. I will give Tosin Adarabioyo, I will agree with Fantasy PGA Tour. I will give him an 8. I will give him an 8. Because he scored number 1. And I think in general, other than Sanchez, obviously that defensive error, I think our defense actually played really well. All 3 of the real centre-backs played fantastic, in my opinion. I was really, really happy with all of them. So I'm going to give all of them a really high rating. Tosin with an 8, very much deserved. Not my man of the match, but very much deserved with a very, very high rating. Moving on to Trevor Chalobah. Wow. First of all, I'm going to give him a crown. Or a star, makes more sense, because he's man of the match. We will look at his stats now, and then we'll decide on my personal rating. Going home from game, Chalobah was class. Shout out you, MXP. Shout out you for tuning in, and shout out Trevor Chalobah for sure. Shout out Trevor Chalobah. And now we look at his stats. Obviously, the official man of the match as well. Got himself an assist. Should have been a goal. There you go. Only 3 misplaced passes. Same passing accuracy as Tosin had with 96%, which is brilliant. Created 2 chances. Then over the top ball as well, where Doherty and Jose Sarr had a misunderstanding, which nearly led to a goal by Pedro Neto. That was fantastic. The outside of the boot pass, the tackle early on. Wonderful. Had a successful dribble. No successful crosses, but still 2 out of 3 long balls. Really, really nice. The duels, good. 2 out of 3 ground duels. 4 out of 5 aerial duels. Really, really strong. And honestly, just proving how good he is, proving how much better than all of these others he is. Is like, I think Levi Kobel is better, but I genuinely think Trevor Chalobah is the next best centre-back Chelsea own. I genuinely believe that. To be fair, Tosin did very good, so I'm not going to complain. But Trevor Chalobah, you're a monster. And I loved how he would, in the lap of honor after the game, the whole stadium was singing his name, and he very, very, very much deserves it. I'm giving him a 9. I was debating an 8.5, but I'm going to give him a 9. BK would have even given him a 10. Max B would have even given him a 9 at 1,000. I think we need to keep it within limits because he might score 2 next week. But yeah, Kevin says, proper Chelsea 9. Trev played so well, 9. Trev 9. Super Trev 9. 9 easily the best defender on the pitch today. I'm glad we're all in agreement, guys. I am glad we are all in agreement. Trevor Chalobah gets the 9. And we move over to Reece James. Played over 70 minutes today, which is fantastic. On it, there was a few serious sprints that he went on, and he looks fine. So that's fantastic. There was a couple, 2 really nice over-the-top chip balls to Noni Madueke that really Noni should have done a bit more with. Were wonderful. The defending was great. The recovery was great. The positioning was great. The leadership was great. Inadvertently got an assist. It probably doesn't count as an assist. I wonder if the people that do play FPL, if it's given him an official assist. If it has, mind you, Reece James has played, well, more than a half today, but obviously he got that kind of semi-assist in the first half, which would give Reece James 1 goal, 2 assists in his last 3 halves of football, excluding the second half today. If you want, in his last 4 halves of football. But in his last 3 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. Wild. From centre-back as well. We can't get our forwards to do anything. Pretty crazy. Joel says, Reece was brilliant. He's so strong. I love watching him play. 8. Yeah, the ref was a weird one today as well, because there was a lot of shoves, in particular on Dewsbury Hall, and a couple on Madueke, where I was like, why are you not giving a free kick here? But then there was a lovely one in the second half when Reece James just shoulder barged the guy out of the way. He went absolutely flying as if it was a mannequin rather than a real human being. Bloody hell, he made it go flying. And the ref let it go. So I was happy with that. I knew Trev was next level when he scored on senior debut a few seasons ago, proper Chelsea. Yeah, I agree. We all knew, just the sport director stone. The Demonin would give James an 8. Joel would give him an 8.5. Fantasy PGO an 8. All these guys robbed off a clean sheet by Rob Sanchez, 100%. 8, glad he's back. Please stay healthy. James, 8. RJ, 8. I love how he was bullying Wolves forwards. I forgot how good James is. It's easy to forget, isn't it? Kevin even says looks comfortable. He does. He looks very comfortable. I would kind of want to give him an 8.5. But I can't, because Tosin fully warrants a high rating as well. Maybe you could argue because Tosin scored, we could give Tosin an 8.5 and James an 8. But I actually think to show quite how good and impressive Reece was today, give him an 8. He fully deserves that. I'm very happy with it. Playing more than 2/3 of a game, buzzing. Absolutely buzzing for him. I mean, let's look at his stats quickly just to see if they support what we said. And to be honest, I said over 70 minutes. He played 77 minutes. So nearly a full game, really. And he was fine. He was good. Obviously, we don't know if he'll still be fine next game. A couple of too many misplaced passes for my personal preferences, to be honest, with 7 compared to the other 2 with only 3. But still, 90% is very good. 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 1 out of 3 accurate crosses, 4 out of 9 accurate long balls, where there could have been a couple more with better runs from midfielders for the wingers. 3 out of 3 tackles, 6 out of 8 ground duels, 3 out of 4 aerial duels. My God, an absolute vintage performance. An absolute vintage performance from Reece James. This is the crazy thing. If Reece James can stay fit, it's crazy how people forget this so easily, how good Reece James is. And people are like, he's not playing, bombing up and down wing back anymore, and now we can't see the best of him. Well, again, like I say, 2 assists, 1 goal in his last 3 games. Now, I know the goal was from a free kick, which he could score from whichever position he plays, but he gives us so much defensive stability and so much calmness. Like it's a huge game changer. He was taking a piss under pressure. It was funny. Yeah, it was. He literally was taking a piss. Brilliant. I often love Neto, but he was poor today. Hesitated too much. I agree. Surprised by Trev. Solid, resourceful, not afraid to put a foot in. Comfortable moving to left back, left centre back, central centre back, right back when needed. Very, very good debut. 100%. I'm not surprised. I know you're surprised, Ahmed, but that's because you're a hater. If we can have Reece and Trev in this defense regularly, we get top 4, even with that clown in goal. I mean, I agree. I was never particularly concerned about top 4 for me, despite the bad run, because I'm like, you're going to have a bad run. Obviously, the bad run had to end at some point, and thankfully did today. But I was never that concerned about it. I still think we'll get it. Obviously, 5th, get Champions League football as well. I still believe at some point Forest will drop off a little bit. I'm not saying they'll necessarily finish behind us, but I don't think they'll remain so far ahead and keep winning every game and stuff. It just will happen. Amit says, God, I love RJ. Would love to see a midfield of Cucurella and James if Enzo, Caicedo and Lavia are all injured. I mean, sure, it's a question of which one would you then start in midfield? Or would you start both in midfield and invert neither? There you go. Who's your man of the match? It's Trevor Chalobah, bro. It's Trevor Chalobah. City game is massive. Yeah, it is. It is. Because they're back in form now. Of course, we played them on the first day of the season when they were still in form, even still had Rodri, although Rodri didn't play that game, I think. Now we played them again after they've won 6-0, which is just really brilliant. We're still getting top 4. We're only 4 points off second. I agree. That last-ditch ground challenge from Trev was so class. Yes, Christian. It was absolute peach. It was a pure peach, man. Anyways, Reece James, big up yourself. Gets an 8 from me. We might as well stick on actually FOTMob and move up the pitch to Marco Correa, of course, playing midfield. I know he played higher than Caicedo, but he's part of the defense. So let's do Correa next. Got himself a goal. The celebration is crazy. He loves a goal, doesn't he? He absolutely loves a goal. And sometimes it's an issue that Correa is that guy. Obviously, when we play that kind of diamond-shaped midfield and he's the left 8. The thing is, Correa, just more than any other player that we have, has the balls and the football IQ to get into the right areas. You know, Dewsbury Hall, he was just never in the right spot. You know, there was that Palmer shot in the first half, which the goalkeeper saved well, to be fair, but then it bounced nearly right in front of him. But both Dewsbury Hall and Madueke were right by the goalkeeper. No, it was Dewsbury Hall and Jackson, and Madueke was too far wide. And if Dewsbury Hall was in a correct position, he scores that. If that happens on a complete reverse side, Cucurella is there for the tap-in. He just knows. He reads the game well. He knows where to be. And yeah, it's not always ideal that Cucurella at left back is often our biggest threat in the box. But he scored a fair few goals recently. He's doing well. He has the tenacity. He has the IQ to get into good positions. But yeah, a goal today. Not his best first half. You can see it there. 11 misplaced passes. And this is why I'm not going to rate him so highly today. I assume most of these misplaced passes happened in the first half. But I think he did good overall. The second half was much better than the first half. So buzzing for that. 1 out of 1 accurate crosses, 1 out of 6 long balls. That's partly what I'm thinking. Like, what is this? 0 tackles. It's surprising. The duel rate, not great today as well. Because Cuckoo got a goal. Oh, bloody hell. We got the raid from Lewis. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everybody that has tuned in from Lewis. Shout out to you, Lewis. I love you, my bro. And I love everybody that has joined in from Lewis's stream. So big up, everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. But as for Marco Correa, I'm going to give him a 7 because I thought he was good in the second half. I thought it was, for the first half alone, I'd probably give him a 5. For the second half alone, I'd probably give him an 8 as well because of the goal. So I'll push it up, even though it goes slightly above the average, to a 7. Like I say, scored the goal. So I'm buzzing with that, and I'm happy with that. Let me see what more of the chat said, because some of you might disagree with this. Seeing Wolves players bouncing off Reece is so wonderful. Kuka had more loose passes than normal, I thought, but he's so good. He's a leader in this team. I love him. 8 because of the goal. 8 for Cuckoo. 7.5. Big up, Laurenz. And the chat. Hit them likes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Hit them likes. And big up you, Lewis. You're my guy. You're my absolute guy. 7.5 for Cuckoo. He scored on his 100th game. Oh, was it his 100th game? You know what? All of you guys have gone a bit higher than I have. So I'll give him a 7.5. I won't go up to an 8, but I'll give him a 7.5. Let him have that. Got a goal. Was a big goal as well. Obviously, putting us 2-1 up at the time was absolutely crucial. But again, guys, 185 if you're watching. Subscribe and hit the like button for me. I'd appreciate that. Celeb in the chat. Celeb in the chat? Yes, celeb in the chat. Let's see if StreamYard still does this, by the way. I've got something. Give it a second. Do you still do the whole emoticon thing? No. Brilliant. I swear last time I was doing this, when I did a thumbs up, it was like doing a whole emoji and everything. But it doesn't do that anymore. I don't know why. I didn't turn anything off or on. But anyways, we move on to Moises Caicedo, because bloody hell, Moises Caicedo was fantastic as well, wasn't he? Oh my God, I have to go back to it. I was so scared. I was so scared. I thought he did his ACL. I thought he did his meniscus. I thought he did his whole knee in. I thought we'd have to not be with Caicedo for a year. Man, I was terrified. Because first I was like, that's an outrageous tackle. He gets the ball. Cucurella goes and runs with it. And then you see Caicedo lying on the floor, rolling around, screaming, hitting the floor in pain. I was like, oh no. Oh no, oh no. And then you see the replay, the guy kind of falling on top of him. Kind of his knee kind of gets kind of so crunched. Like kind of, I don't know, not hyperextended, like underextended. Oh, I don't know the exact word for it. But my God, I was terrified. I was terrified he was injured. But thank the Lord he seems to be fine. Hopefully he's still fine in 2 or 3 days. But my God, I was so glad that he was okay. Joel says, Caicedo, I just don't get how he's so consistently good. He's going to be one of our best ever midfielders if he continues. 100%. 100. And how wild is this? We already have Makelele. I was in a group chat with my fellow Austrian Chelsea supporters. Shout out if anybody is watching, if you guys. Big up you. And someone was saying, what's our best team in the last 30 years? And when I was thinking of it, I was like, well, do I put Kante or Makelele? Obviously, you could have put both. Theoretically, but I was like, do I put Cunha and Makelele? And in 4 or 5 years, who knows what success is still to come, we might be able to include Caicedo in this too. You'd probably then just do Kante and Caicedo and probably leave out someone like Essien. But he's crazy. And yeah, but I agree with this by Davey, by the way. He is better in the centre. Compared to last week's game against Bournemouth when he was playing right back, much more influential, much more crucial, much more effective. A great game. A very great game. Like, honestly, in the first half in particular, I thought Reece James was good, Tosin was good, Chalobah was good, and Caicedo was good. And I thought everybody else was poor, including Cucurella. Second half, I would include Cucurella, and I would include... Honestly, that's not... Maybe Noni. Because Noni didn't make it happen, but Noni was very much, high turnaround winger today. Like, trying and never giving up today. So that was Noni's big plus today. So maybe I'll give Noni a good second half. But overall, the whole game, it was the 3 defenders and Moises Caicedo who were good. And he was very, very good. Let's look at his stats. Only 8 misplaced passes in this position. 86% accuracy is fantastic. Had a successful dribble as well. 2 out of 4 long balls. 2 out of 3 tackles. 6 out of 9 ground duels, fantastic. 1 out of 1 air duel, a brilliant performance. For me, Moises Caicedo also getting an 8, like Tosin did and like Reece James did. And ever so slightly higher than Marco Correa, despite not getting a goal. Could I do 8.5? Maybe, but I think that would be slightly unfair to Tosin and Reece James because I thought they all had brilliant games. That's why I was considering an 8.5 for Chalobah, because do I truly think it was a whole point better than all of these? Maybe not. But let me see. Maybe you guys disagree. Fantasy PJ just 7.5 to 8. Fair enough. We left Caicedo a bit isolated at times in the middle. Yeah, but that's part of the gamble that we take. You know what I mean? That's part of the gamble that we take in terms of we are willing to open up certain spaces to hopefully create overloads higher up the pitch and therefore be able to attack, create, and score a little bit more. But there you go. Davey says, I respect Noni's attempts. He knows what he wants to do. Yeah. And that is something, Noni gets some stick and sometimes deservedly stick. And I'm not necessarily going to be all over the moon about his performance today. I'm really not. But I think some people that I've seen on Twitter already are taking it too far again. Like, he did decent in the grand scheme of things. Crispy says 8 for Caicedo. BK only says 7.5. A couple of 7.5s in there, but I'll stick with my 8. Worth every penny. Is honestly so good. It's all action, better in the center, like you said earlier. And Joel says, I'm so pleased for Moises. He's such a genuine guy, and I love how he's already vice captain. He's actually not vice captain. Enzo Fernandez is ahead of him, but Enzo obviously wasn't involved today, so he got the armband when Reece went off. Do I see a new captain, leader, legend in the making? Reece will have something to say to that. Honestly, I have to say, I still think Enzo Fernandez is actually more of a captain than Caicedo, especially in recent weeks. And I think we missed Enzo in midfield today in terms of creativity. We 100% missed him, and I'm sure we create significantly more if Enzo plays. And I thought you could really tell how much we missed Enzo Fernandez today. So I really hope he's not out for long, because his form of late has been absolutely wonderful, truly wonderful. So there you go. We move up the pitch, shall we? And let's get to my favourite player in the whole team, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, on his first Premier League start for Chelsea. Yeah, it's crazy. He hasn't actually got a start in the Prem until now. But obviously due to injuries and due to Enzo Maresca not being willing to take the risk of starting Cole Palmer and João Felix together, got himself that first start, and he got 1 assist. He got the assist to Marco Correa for the crucial 2-1 goal, to be fair, with the back of his head following across from, I'm pretty sure it was Neto. Or was it Noni? Not sure. Someone tell me who put the cross in that Dewsbury-Hall kind of flicked on to Cucurella. But yeah, so he got himself an assist. Otherwise, I mean, he's woeful. I mean, sure, he doesn't give the ball away, but that's because he doesn't do anything. And most of the time, the problem wasn't his passing. The problem was his touches. He controls the ball and it's bouncing 2 yards off. Like, he just, he's just so average. Like, it's not like he's awful. It's not like he's the worst player in the world, but it's just so average. I mean, I'm surprised that there's a couple of people that thought he was decent, because for me, it's like, and especially when you think, okay, we can't play João Felix because off the ball, this position needs to be back in midfield and stuff. And I'm like, but has anybody seen Dewsbury-Hall be useful defensively? Like I've never seen. Like let's see what the stats say. Okay, dribbles, sure. 2 out of 2 tackles, to be fair. I didn't notice him have a single tackle, fair enough. But this is what I mean. 3 out of 9 ground duels. Like, you can't have 3 out of 9 ground duels in midfield. You just can't have that. I'm surprised about the 2 out of 2 tackles, and maybe I didn't see something that he did do, fair enough. But yeah, the touches were poor. He doesn't provide creativity. He doesn't provide enough of an engine. He doesn't provide ball carrying. He doesn't provide physicality. He doesn't provide defensive support. He doesn't provide attacking support, despite and other than the assist. It's just not enough. Like someone said, he's not Premier League level. I think he is Premier League level to a lower Premier League level. You know what I mean? Like a Wolves, an Everton, a Leicester, if it just stayed. Those kind of clubs, I think he does a decent job. You know what I mean? Like he's a decent Premier League footballer. But I don't think he's enough for us. I just really, really don't. And I still cannot get over the fact that we signed him for £30 million. It's ridiculous. I mean, Cascade, I'm with you, Laurenz. Against better oppositions, we're in trouble. I mean, let's hope we don't have the same injuries against better opposition. Let's be honest. It was a right today, though. I don't think it was dreadful. 6.5 for me. I'd give him a 5.5. That's me being kind. Can't believe we spent what we did on him. Yeah, average, as you say. I feel KDH was good today, though. Do you really? I mean, he could go West Ham. To be honest, he probably would. He probably would could go West Ham. I can't even lie. So far off Gallagher. That's the thing. He's so far off Gallagher. Yeah, first EPL start for us. He had plenty for Leicester and was extremely average for Leicester in the Premier League as well. Then they got relegated, and all of a sudden in the Championship, he was brilliant. I still stand by it. The only reason we signed him is to get Maresca, and that was some sort of agreement that we had with Leicester that we needed to buy one of their homegrown players because they needed pure profit on the books. We were like, okay, which ones of your players do we probably like most? We decided on Dewsbury Hall, but we had to pay quite a lot. He wasn't dreadful, but we need more from him. Yeah, we need more from him. And to be fair, like, yes, it was his first Premier League start for us. And also the other thing we have to say is he was supposedly injured these last month or so. Like he was never in the squad, even though he was seen in training. He was supposedly injured, according to Maresca. And all of a sudden he's coming back in and starting. Like even if he wasn't as average of a player, he would have like, how do I say it? Well, it's always difficult to play to start for the first time, not only like start for the first time after injury, but on top of that being your first Premier League start of the season, of course that makes it more difficult. But still, Joe says, but Gallagher made us tons of money. Tula saved us PSR. Go after PSR, not Dewsbury Hall. Yeah, but I think this is a whole load of waffle. I don't really believe it. I don't really believe, like, we, as the report suggested, we comfortably met PSR rules. I don't think the Gallagher sale was the decisive factor here, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I'm not saying not at all, but with the amount of pure profit sales we made, from Lewis Hall to obviously Conor Gallagher to so many others, right? But the problem is we also have so many others that we just fail to sell. Obviously now Chalobah is back, but we tried to force him out, just failed to sell him. We tried to force out Broja, failed to sell him as well. Now he's injured again, I think. So yeah, it's a shame because we miss Gallagher a lot. And Gallagher, even though not doing necessarily offensively a lot for Atletico Madrid, but one of Atletico Madrid's most important players, playing a hybrid left wing back, centre midfield role. Very much, a hard-working defensive role, more so than he ever had for us. But there you go. As for Dewsbury Hall, I'm going to be somewhat lenient, guys. I'm not going to give him a terrible rating. I was thinking 5, but I'm going to push it to a 5.5 because it was his first Premier League start, and he came directly after supposedly being out for over a month. And even if he wasn't truly injured, and even if that was more of an explanation why he's not in the squad, that doesn't have to face criticism from Maresca. It's still difficult when you haven't played, whether it was a true injury or not. He hasn't played for well over a month or over a month. So I think since the last Conference League game, did he even play in that? He might not have even played in that. So he's been over a month that he hasn't played. So even if he wasn't injured, coming back from that, never easy. Never easy. We move on though to Cole Palmer. Let me see what else. Well, if PSI is a killer, I hate it. I hate it too. One Premier League start, 1 assist. I mean, hey, that's something. Looks like Lavia's injury is long term. Judging by what, Kevin? Has anybody said anything? I need to see. Immediately. I'm just going to check if there's anything being said on this. Oh, brilliant. Well, Maresca said Lavia's injury is worse than Enzo's, and he already said before the game that Enzo would be out for a few weeks, and Lavia's injury is worse. Oh my god, that's ridiculous. I can't. no. I can people will criticize that Romeo Lavia. People will hate Romeo Lavia, right? He's too injured. We can't rely on him. This bollocks, that bollocks. And you're right. But, and let me be very fucking clear here. Let me be very fucking clear. Romeo Lavia has been injured the last 15 months of the last 18 months that he's been at Chelsea. He's barely had 3 months that he was fitted. In those 3 months, he only ever played once a week. But once a week, all season, when he was fit for a fairly sustained period of time. And now he comes back from injury, starts against Morecambe, and I know it's a League Two side, and I know it's only the FA Cup, and I know he only played the first half, but that was last Saturday. Well, the Saturday before that. And then 3 days later on Tuesday, he starts again. You do not start a player that is injured for 15 of 18 months in back-to-back games. I do not give a shit if he's only played the first half and only played 55 minutes in the second game. Clearly, proving with his injury, it was too much to start him in back-to-back games in the space of 3 days. It was stupid. And I do not know if it was Maresca's fault or the medical staff's fault. Both of them are to blame. That Romeo Lavia is injured again, and it's an absolute piss take. Like, we are so careful with Reece James. How on earth have we gone through the injury crisis that we've had over the last 2 years and not learned the fact that you do not start players that are injured 15 of 18 months in back-to-back games in a space of 3 days? It's stupid. It's ridiculous, and it's self-sabotage. That's all it is. And the fact that on top of that, we do not really call our players. Honestly, I want to smash them all in the face. Like, it makes me so angry on my inside that I'm like, how can we treat these people so stupidly? Like Romeo Lavia is a 21-year-old kid who was signed for huge money, who chose us over Liverpool. He gave us that confidence, right? We signed him for £60 million or euros, pounds, despite having Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. And then he's injured for so long, which is tough, right? It's tough. Obviously, it's shit for us. We spend a lot of money. We needed him. I get all of that. But it's even worse for him. He's a 20-year-old kid who spent an entire season injured, right? An entire season. And then he plays only once a week. We're so careful, don't even include him in a Conference League squad, even though I think we should have done. Used him in a Conference League, given him easier way to get fitness up rather than the Prem, right? But then you start in back-to-back games. This is like purposely injuring him. It's ridiculous. And it pisses me off so much. It makes me so angry. Yeah, and the Demon says to recall Santos and Leslie Wall. You could seriously argue recall them both, but at least Leslie Ogochukwu needs to be recalled immediately. It doesn't matter. It's not about 56 minutes. The problem is that it was 3 days between starts. It was too little. He only played once a week when he was fit for months on end. Why would you play him 3 days in a row? Like, it's stupid, man. He is so good. That's why it's so disappointing. We'll go back to Cole Palmer now. Palmer added urgency in the second half, and the team responded. He's a leader by example. He doesn't need to play great to be influential. And this, I think, is a call and a half, because I thought Palmer was very average in the first half. Now, he wasn't shocking. He was still the one that made things happen. But he still messed things up, tried to be a bit too, trickery sometimes, a bit too much trickery. But his second half, even though he then got subbed off, and arguably should have been subbed off a little bit earlier because he was clearly not 100% fit. Excuse me. But I agree with this comment by Max 100%. He added urgency, and it helped the team. It helped us perform. It helped us respond. It helped us take the game forward. And even though he didn't score, he was very crucial in that second half. Now, if the first half wasn't good, I would probably give his first half like between a 5 and a 5.5, and I'll probably give his second half a 6.5 to a 7. So I'll give him an overall 6. I think I'll give him an overall 6. And this happens very often where I'm like, because Palmer, for his own standards, recently hasn't had many great games, but for the standards of everybody else, he's still playing decently, getting involved, being dangerous, creating stuff. So yeah, I'll give him a 6. I mean, let's look at his stats quickly. If the stats kind of support what I've thought and said and seen. Bloody English time grammar, I guess. It's a shame because so good. I like Lavia. I really feel so sorry for him, as do I. Second half, Coley was good. First half was unmarked. Was marked out of the game, yeah. I agree with Max P. He's also a man marked. We've been kind of saying this since last season that this is going to happen to him. 6 for me from JP as well. Yeah, but honestly, the position that he played today, he should have had enough space to wiggle out of being pressed. And to be honest, he got himself on the ball plenty. So that's not really the big concern for me personally today. The fact that he got man marked, let's look at his touches. 40 passes, decent in that position. Only 5 misplaced. Can't complain with that. 1 out of 2 shots on target. Successful dribbles could be better, of course. 1 out of 2 crosses at least. 3 out of 4 long balls is nice. 2 out of 5 ground duels, it's acceptable. Like I say, a 6, and we'll leave it at that, and we move on. We go over to Pedro Neto. Now, and I'll have to go back to it again, like I said at the very beginning of the stream. I don't understand, and I don't see why Jadon Sancho was dropped. Now, my one thought I had initially is because the way Wolves play with 2 wing-backs rather than a deep back 4, we thought we could use the pace that both Pedro Neto and Noni have a bit more. And obviously, Sancho is good in acceleration, but not so pacey in terms of getting in behind. So maybe that was the thinking from Enzo Maresca, because anything else is a little bit ridiculous. Now, I get playing Neto against his old club and that he's probably extra motivated and everything, but Neto isn't the one struggling for motivation. If anything, maybe Neto sometimes gets over-motivated. That's one case I would make. But he was very average today. He had 1 or 2 decent crosses that just no one did anything with. But, I mean, didn't touch the ball much. 14 out of 50 after 16 passes. 1 out of 6 crosses only. And this is trying to tell me he didn't attempt to dribble. That is astonishing. That is truly astonishing. I mean, what would you guys give Pedro Neto today? I'm really intrigued what you guys would give him. Let me see what the chat has said. Pedro is quite frustrated because he shows glimpses of unbelievable quality. Apart from Reece, he's our best crosser. I mean, obviously Cole Palmer is, but Cole Palmer isn't in those wide areas as much. But yeah, it doesn't do it enough. For 60 million, I expected much more, I'll be honest. Same. It was more likely because Noni scored a hat-trick and Neto was playing against his former team. See, I don't really think Enzo Maresca considers those factors at all. Now, I know us fans do, and I know like a more older school managers would, 100% like a Jose Mourinho. But I really don't think Maresca uses such reasons. I think it's more tactical reasons. Neto's never been a goal scorer. Needs a striker to make him look good. Brilliant player. I mean, yeah, but did Wolves ever have this great striker? I mean, they had Jimenez for a while, but that's a long time ago now. I'm not even sure if Jimenez was at his peak when Neto was even there yet. And since then, I don't know. He did something at Wolves that made us pay 60 million. I never thought he was anywhere near a 60 million player, if I'm honest. I thought he had good attributes. He's quick, good cross, hard working, decent technique, good shot on him as well when he goes for it. But he just seems like such a transition player. And for some reason, he's not really working when we're using the break, but also not when we need to play low block. So it's like, yeah, Jackson does very little for wingers. I feel for them. Yeah, of course. We're back to blaming Jackson for the wingers being average. Brilliant. I mean, I get what you mean. Like, Neto's biggest strength is crossing. And Jackson isn't great at receiving crosses. But let's not use Jackson as an excuse for wingers being average. I really don't like that. 5 for Neto is kind of what I'm thinking. I like Neto. Maybe didn't like playing against his old team. More strength would be helpful. I mean, someone earlier said the reason he played is because it was his old team. And now someone else is saying maybe he didn't play well because he didn't like playing against his old teim. So that kind of tells you enough for me. He did, again, I have to say it. He didn't attempt a single dribble according to the stats. I personally think I'm being kind by giving him a 5. Now, you know what? I'm giving him a 4.5. I have to. He was so average. He did nothing. No useful balls into the box. No dribbles. Not taking anybody on. Not going for any shots. Just wasteful. Useless. Unnecessary. And honestly, the identical reasons and complaints go to Noni Madueke, except stealing that goal from Trevor Chalobah. I don't know if Noni looks weak as such, but there you go. He had some good crosses to Noni. I mean, but a cross that's 6 yards past the goal, even if it's a good cross, is not a good cross to me. Like, sure, you maybe want to play it there, but And I hear that, Joel, but I think that's to do because Neto hasn't been here for that long, so you haven't had so much time to get frustrated. And I'm purely like Neto cost us nearly double of what Madueke cost us, like nearly double. You know what I mean? Is he double better? Not even close. Not even close. Can't cross at all. I mean, let's look at the stats. Because let's remember Neto had 1 of 6 accurate crosses. Let's look at Noni now. 1 of 7. So, yes, you're correct. Noni was worse at crossing than Pedro Neto. But the one thing that's different is Pedro Neto has the attribute of being very two-footed, almost like Pedro Rodriguez, of course, we had at Chelsea for a while. He's very two-footed, same as Pedro Neto, which should make your crossing abilities significantly better. Noni has a terrible right foot, as most left-footers do. But I'm not trying to give Noni an excuse. I disagree. I don't think he had a good game. I think he got better second half, and I think he was aggressive and trying to take people on. But 1 out of 4 dribbles is extremely poor. Like Neto had 0 attempted, 0 succeeded, but 1 out of 4 is still really poor. 1 out of 7 crosses is really poor. No tackles. The ground duels, 2 out of 13 is shocking. And essentially, the goal didn't need help. Like, it could have just been Chalobah's goal. And now everybody's going to talk about how he was actually good because he got a goal that he didn't need to even touch. That's what I'm saying. And I hear what the chat is saying with Big K here. Noni works hard. Wolves had to put 2 players on him. But every opponent does that against every winger that we do, that we play. You know what I mean? He's not Pedro Rodriguez for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, exactly. And like JP says, Noni's a £35 million player. Easy. I think he was even less than that, though. Maybe it was £35 million or something. But Neto is 60. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he tried second half, and he was certainly better second half, but too often still that it doesn't work. JP says gets a 5.5. Wasn't great, but better than Neto for sure. I agree. Works hard. Yeah, you said that 5. Noni for me is a 5, and that's an extra point for the goal. Honestly, he's so frustrating to watch. I will give him a 5.5 because I think him and Neto. No, you know what? I'll only give him a 5. I would say he was the same as Neto. And I'll give him a point for the goal, but because the kind of goal it was, I'm only giving him a 0.5. So essentially, for me, they were the same. They had the same issues, the same equal amount of lack of effectiveness. But Noni got that goal that he didn't have to touch. But, he did get it, and I get it. I'm not mad at him for doing it, but we still know that he didn't have to do it. It could have just been Chalobah's goal. He didn't have to touch it. If he doesn't, nobody praises him, in my opinion. But there you go. He still did get the goal, so a 5 he shall get. And then we get to Nicholas Jackson, who, well, nothing. Nothing. We don't know. Nothing has happened officially, but we're linked to too many left wingers, in my opinion, to not be very much expecting him to be suspended for a significant amount of time. I kind of miss Misha too. It gives us a different option, especially in games like this. Against super low blocks, less so. But in certain games, having Misha sometimes off the bench, sometimes starting, is a huge asset. And by far the best shooter in the squad after Cole Palmer. Maybe Reece James, but by a distance. Don't forget those goals that he scored. I know it's Conference League, but shooting, the competition doesn't matter when you shoot and hit the top corner. But we won't see Mudryk for a while. Supposedly, and I heard this as a rumor, but I'm not sure if it was confirmed by anybody. What else am I seeing here? Maresca says he wants to keep Dewsbury Hall. Yeah, I don't know. We'll look at some more quotes from after the game in a minute. Let's go to Nicholas Jackson first. A couple of people have already said 5, offered nothing today. He did really offer nothing today. The hold-up play was poor. The passing was poor. When there was one time where he pressed well and got the ball and tried to run towards the goal, then he messed up his last touch and kind of just, the keeper took it off his feet. Didn't misplace the ball, but there was just a hold-up play. It just bounced off him too much. He couldn't hold it down. Won a tackle, to be fair. I mean, he always works hard. He always tracks back, sometimes too much. 2 out of 5 rounders is not great, but okay. 1 out of 2 aerial duels is decent. Yeah, not a great game. He scored an offside goal. At least he took it. Maybe decent for his confidence. Created 2 chances at least. But this one, offside 4 times. I'm not happy with that. Why are you offside 4 times? Why is that happening? That's too much. You're not Kai Havertz. Stop playing like Kai Havertz. You know what I mean? I'll give Nico Jackson the same as the other boys, if I'm being honest. Obviously, Noni gets that goal, so he gets that 0.5 extra, but I'm giving Jackson the same 4.5 that I gave Pedro Neto and Noni without his goal. Honestly, I have to stand by it. I have to stand by it. Before we get into the subs, guys, let's look at some of these post-match quotes. Nice. You told Thomas. Thomas who? I'm so confused. Let me show you guys this. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted. What? So maybe Thomas Tuchel was at the game. Obviously, England manager now. Madueke said I told Thomas that I scored 3 last time against Wolves, and he said, you better go and score again. Well, he did, to be fair. He did. Yeah, Reece James, fantastic. We looked at that. Lavia's injury is worse than Enzo's. Vlahovic and Chelsea is an X, is a no from Fabrizio. Get in. Come on, fuck you, Mr. Vlahovic. Maresca says his intention is to keep Dewsbury. Well, I'm not surprised with our midfield depth, but just get him more midfielders, and then he won't have to keep Dewsbury. Do you know what I mean? Just bloody keeps it simple. Make things a lot simpler. Anyways, we get to our subs. We made a fair few today. 5 subs today, unheard of. And the first one after 62 minutes, Jadon Sancho came on. Honestly, I was, like I said earlier, I was a bit upset or not happy that he didn't start. But he didn't do anything more either. But to be fair, same amount of passes as Neto had, and more accurate ones in a lot less time. So, more useful in that sense. Had at least a successful dribble out of only 1 attempted. So that's something. 2 out of 4 ground duels, better than that as well. As a sub, I'll probably give Jadon like an average 6, probably. Disasi came on. How can you, as a centre-back, only play 2 passes, 9 passes and misplace 2 of them? Shocking. No duels, no nothing. He gets an NA, even though he played a significant amount of time. While Augusto played a left-back, 10 out of 14 passes. Could be better, to be honest. Had an accurate long ball. 3 out of 3 ground duels. Bloody hell, well done. 6.5 off the bench. João Felix, barely noticed him, but 7 out of 10 passes, but not noticed him because he didn't do anything. Didn't notice him much because I was preparing the stream. Unfortunately, no dribbles. Not much else down here either. He just gets an NA. I mean, they barely played, let's be honest. And Tyreek George, the same. 3 out of 3 passes, though. Tracked back a lot. So, big up to them for that. I probably should remember who all the subs happened for. Now, I'll look at that in a second. We'll write them up as we go along. First, Pedro Neto was replaced by Jadon Sancho. I'll give him a 6 with a star. The next sub was, who was subbed off for this Sassy? Oh, yeah, of course. Reece James, I guess, inadvertently. Reece James was replaced by this Sassy. Honestly, I mean, 7 out of 9 passes and no duels as a defender. I can only give him an NA, even though he played over 10 minutes. And then we made the sub of Malagusto coming on for Dewsbury All, which is obviously the next one. Gusto had some decent, stats at least. Not that I noticed him much, I'll be honest, but a 6.5 for the stats. And then the last 2, Cole Palmer was replaced by João Felix, gets an NA. And then what was the last sub? Was it Noni that came off? Yeah, it was Noni that came off. For Tyreek George, who also gets an NA. And then we finish it off with the manager, Enzo Maresca. What do we make of that today, guys? What do we make of that? I still cannot get over the fact that he just, for absolutely zero reason whatsoever, started Lavia back-to-back games. Not today, but just there was no need. There was no need to do this. And now he's just injured for a significant amount of time, and it just pisses me the fuck off. It just pisses me off. I'm infuriated by that. Absolutely infuriated. But yeah, Enzo Maresca, the lineup is kind of the decisive thing, isn't it? Don't understand why Sancho was dropped. Neither of the other wingers played any well. So, from that perspective, didn't work out that change. Midfield is obviously very limited with options. Chalobah bringing him back in, even a left centre back, that worked. Reece James starting him, seems like he didn't get injured, so that worked. So, the subs also helped to an extent, I thought. Gusto did well when he came on. I thought Sancho was a sub that made sense. Even though I would have preferred Felix to come on earlier, that made sense as well. George coming on, I liked. The only thing I didn't like was why bring on Disasi and not Acheampong. That part I didn't like. But in the grand scheme of things, I'll give Maresca a 7. I don't think this was any better than other days or whatever. But we got to win. It was important that we're back to winning ways. So I'll give Maresca the 7 for that. But ladies and gentlemen, I think on this note, I'm about to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, subscribe, hit that like button for me. Let's get to at least well, to be honest, I'd like to get to 100 likes, but we're probably not going to make that happen. But if you're still over 100 of you here, so you could go down below and help me with the like buttons. There's 48 of likes so far. I want to get to at least, guys, please help me out, to 75 likes. Go down below, just one click of a button. See, maybe hitting the like button cures my cough. So hit that like button for me. Just one click of a button. It doesn't cost you any money or any time, but it really does help me out. So I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't done that yet. But yeah, next match, obviously a tough one. I mean, we can quickly look at the fixtures because our next game is Manchester City, and it's not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. Let me bring it up for you here. Man City next Saturday, so still nearly a full week off again. Man City away. I'm hoping for a draw at least. I'll say that. West Ham at the Bridge, obviously we should win, but Potter coming back screams bad result. Brighton away in the FA Cup, should win that, have to win that, same as in the league. They're kind of a team that suits us. I also think we'll beat Villa, to be honest. Southampton should be a guaranteed win. Leicester should be a guaranteed win. But let's see if it's that easy. You know, if we only drop points against City and then win the others, maybe a draw away at Brighton or something, I'll take it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be easy. But hey, at least we're out of our losing or not winning form before facing City, because otherwise, bloody hell, good luck to us. But yeah, Kevin says didn't need to be amazing to beat a team fighting relegation. Yeah, but we also couldn't beat Ipswich or Everton. So, you know, make of that what you will. Mate, you're a legend. Well, thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Chalobah will have Haaland in his pocket. Well, I love that. Pick up King Laurenz. Don't need to call me King, but I appreciate you, Big K. Maybe you're the Big King. Shout out Joel. Shout out everybody that's tuned in. Shout out JP. Shout out Max. Shout out Kevin. Shout out Davey. Shout out who else have I seen that has said quite a lot? Shout out Christian as well. You've been quite active today. Appreciate you, my guy. Who else? There's been a few of you. Thabong said something as well, to be fair. Fair dues. Shout out to all of you guys. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Amit as well, obviously, if you're still here. Appreciate you all. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chels. Again, one more time. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you haven't done that either. But thank you guys for watching. Up the Chels. Upwards and onwards. Back to winning ways. And I will see you next time.